What is up, survivors? We're back with another mod review, and for today's mod review we're going to be going over the Ducktus Hive and Swarm mod. This was kind of made as a gift to somebody from my understanding, if I read the Steam Workshop correctly, but as we can see, we get some creepy crawly dinosaurs here. So what this adds is these hive creatures. Now there's a couple different variants that I have out here. We have the albino, we have a regular hive creature, a R hive creature, and a X hive creature. Typically, right now, it seems to be like you're only going to find these critters on Ragnarok and or on Scorched Earth. Maybe these things will be added later on, but this is simply just from what the Steam Workshop says. Now, these guys clearly have a separate look about them. You do have to make a saddle for them as well. Let's talk about that. The Hive Creature saddle is unlocked at level 50. We'll get into these spawners a little bit later on, but long story short, there's a boss version of this stuff. Anyway, you'll be able to make the saddle, put them on these guys, ride them around, and they kind of feel like a giant spider a little bit. They do have a little bit of a jump ability to them as well. It's not a very high jump, but a little bit of a jump. But yeah, they definitely feel like you're using the spider, the Uranio. However, the head clearly is a little bit different. Now, these guys do have packed a couple of different abilities, and they are passive tames. We'll actually talk about how to tame them as well, and where to find them. We'll talk about the boss critters as well. The albino one is actually, you're going to find that in like frozen areas. Actually, you're not typically going to find that in desert areas where you would find the rest of these guys at. These are going to be in the frozen, so maybe ice cave sort of style environments where you're going to find them. Doesn't look like they hang around in packs very much. It looks like these are solo tames by themselves, and like I said, they are tamed passively. So we have a left click bite attack, which has a little bit of a delay, and you can't do it while you're moving. Then we have a right click, which is pretty fun. It summons a little swarm of dudes to fight for me. Now, if I'm attacking something or something's attacking me, the swarms will kick in and fight them. But you do have a cooldown as far as how often you can actually summon these guys in. These are all level 1s right now, so we can take a look at their stats. Their health is pretty decent. Stamina, oxygen, food. Weight's pretty high considering what kind of creature we're doing here. Movement speed seems a little high, but honestly, they don't move too fast. They're not crazy fast. They're kind of what you would expect out of most insects, I would say, around here in Ark in general. While their stats might not be crazy good, the one thing to pay attention to is that these guys are immune to the Shadow Mane, lightning, as well as any other elemental attacks. So they're immune to the breath coming out of wyverns, the lightning, fire, and poison. You're immune to it. It's pretty intense. These guys can help you out quite a lot. Let's take one of these out in the desert real quick and fight some stuff, see what happens. All right, so I do have admin commands on this guy just so he doesn't die, mainly so we can kind of just test this. But let's figure this out. Summon our swarm in. Let's go attack some. So damage isn't too bad, but the swarms coming in, man. Swarms are heavily beneficial. These are like 10 or 15 damage. And while they die out, I can still summon more of these guys back in, which is pretty cool. So damage isn't too high. It looked like it was between 20 and 25 depending. It does have a C attack as well, which is kind of like this bite attack. Now this inflicts like an injected status. Now this bite is really only for shadow manes specifically. It seems like this creature's kind of bent on hunting down shadow manes maybe, but the bite disables the cloak that the shadow manes currently have. Well, we got 38 on that. 38, yeah, okay. All right, so we're immune to elemental damage. I can summon little hive guys to fight for me. I'm immune to the Shadow Mane. I can disable the Shadow Mane's cloaking ability. This thing has a few different interesting abilities, I think. Let's take a look at how the level ups go, though. So the health looks like it bumps up pretty good. Weight goes really good on these guys, so they can haul some stuff for you. Melee damage looks like it scales okay, too. Not a bad creature. Honestly not. I mean, it's kind of toe-to-toe with some of the other bugs out here, but it's a little bit bigger and has some better cool abilities. Now, the R version here, that's going to spawn in Rockwell's Garden on the Genesis 2 map, and you're going to passively feed these guys with mutagel. Now, you're going to need bug repellent while you have them on. You're going to find them wandering around, but you're going to passive feed them with mutagel. The X version, you're actually going to tame with the ambergris, so you're going to be able to use that same thing, put on bug repellent, sneak up to them, feed them. That's going to be pretty much how this works. Now, these two require a special ingredient, wyvern cheese. That's right, cheese. You're going to need raw salt and wyvern milk to make this guy. You're going to have cheese to feed these things. I don't know why they like cheese. I didn't make this up. It's not me. I didn't make up the rules. He eats cheese. They have a pretty quick spoil timer though, so you're going to want a lot of these things, but essentially you just put them on your last slot like you normally would. Let's go see if I can find one out in the wild and test this out real quick. So here we have one here. Again, I have admin commands on that are just kind of just make my life a little bit easier. But as we can see, it's hanging around here, and these things are highly aggressive. They just seem to go after everything. They don't particularly care. If you're near it, it's going to go after you. Anyway, with bug repellent on, well, normally you would have bug repellent on. He's aggro right now, so I got to wait for him to, you know, heal out a little bit. All right, so as you can see, you're going to walk up, feed him wyvern cheese. That's how it's going to go. This is official difficulty stuff, so of course this is going to be super easy. And yeah, it looks like what I'm noticing here, which you can plainly see though, which this guy might actually die because of this. It looks like if it has a swarm that's currently out and you tame it, that swarm now becomes against it. So you want to pay attention to that if it has a swarm out, it looks like, because as we can see, this guy almost died because of that. That's a little weird. Also, the hitboxes for harvesting stuff, when you kill things, harvesting them is very odd. Like, you have to be right on top of it, and sometimes it harvests and sometimes it doesn't. So it can be a little frustrating for sure, but I think if we got a little bit of TLC with this mod, I think it actually has a lot of potential. But aside from that, it's really the only two things I could really complain about would be the inability to harvest things sometimes, and then the idea of taming it and any active swarms are aggroed on you. So definitely want to watch out for that one. But honestly, that's really the only two things I could think of. So while we got this bad mammoth out here, how about we just hit stop and then spawn us in one of these bosses and see what this does. Oh, there it goes. Oh, whoa. Oh, it's got minions too. So this is considerably bigger. This is the gamma, what it looks like. So there's a gamma, beta, and alpha version of these guys. And as we can see, they're trying to kill this thing. I don't know. Oh gosh. All right. It shoots fire. It has like, oh, wow. That's got a lot of different. Okay. All right. So it has hive warriors to kind of follow it around to do its bidding. And then it also roams around causing all sorts of mayhem as well. They have a lot of cool abilities, actually. They get a bunch of different elemental attacks, and the stats are pretty comparable to Broodmother, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe not quite as healthy, as bulky as a Broodmother, but still pretty tough, and you can summon them wherever you want. So, not only are you getting a creature variant to play around with, but you're also getting the addition of another boss to fight, which I thought was pretty neat. The hive spawners are crafted by using artifacts, right? So you're going to need artifacts in order to create these things, and then you'll just create it, and from my understanding, when you use it, it'll spawn this dude in. So let's go back out to the desert just to test this real quick. And yep, I do. Yes. Do I have to be on the ground? Is that what's going on here? Let's try this again. Yes. Oh, and boom. Okay. So that actually works out pretty well. I like that it's not like super close to you as well. So you'll just use it on your inventory and it'll plop down. Kind of gnarly. Plus, you could really tick off a lot of your tribe mates dropping random bosses around, you know, because they'd love that. All in all, I really kind of jumped out of this mod because I feel like a lot of times the insects, invertebrates, things like that are oftentimes a little bit overlooked in Ark. So when I see them represented a little bit more, I got to kind of show them a little bit of love. I would suggest at least trying this one out. I think it still needs a little bit of work, though. Honestly, between the harvesting and the after taming effects, if it has like swarms following it around, and even the swarm part isn't really that big of a deal. It's really just the harvesting that seems to be really off. Fix that part. Honestly, I think you got a great creature mod plus another boss variant. So even if you don't necessarily like this guy, but just want another boss addition, the possibility of fighting another boss, you just use the mod for that. Easy enough. But that is it, guys. That's the Ducktus Hive and Swarm mod. Feel free to check it out. We'll have a link to the Steam Workshop in the description of the video so you can check it out at your leisure. And as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. See you on the next one.